chief guest, my very good friend, Mr. Justice Paul Mwaniki Kashoka, the chairperson of the ESCC, another very good friend of mine, the Bishop, Reverend David Oginde, the judges of the Superior Court, Justice Muteti, whom I've known for many years, and Justice Musyoki, again another gentleman I know, the magistrates of the lower courts who are here, the CEO, another very good friend of mine, CEO of the ESCC, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed, and good morning. As you've heard, my name is George Gitonga Murugara. I'm a member of Parliament, the National Assembly, and I represent the good people of Tharaka in Tharaka County. I must start by apologizing that we have editorialized the program because I'm available now, but will not be available in the afternoon. My session is scheduled for 2 p.m., but at 2 p.m. I have another session regarding all of you, possibly, or majority of you, before the Budget and Appropriations Committee, where we have to present reports on the supplementary budget, which affects most of the agencies that are here, and I'm happy to see all of them, and I need to be there, so that the little there is, I ensure I defend for you, and I'm able to carry out my mandate under Article 95 of the Constitution. Then after that, I have to go to Malindi, where we joined another team that went there yesterday to do public participation on a bill called the Public Participation Bill. This we have to do public participation on the public participation because we are trying to enact an act of parliament which will deal with the public participation, a very important aspect of our constitution and the laws, and it's important that we go around the country collecting views. Those many remarks, I'm here to say something little about strengthening public accountability, enhancing parliamentary oversight in combating corruption. As the chairperson actually said, in Kenya, corruption is described in very grand names, including it's a dragon. I don't know what dragons were, must have been dinosaurs. We don't have dragons today. But they are all over the history and religious teachings. They must have been feared by human beings. So I'm 100% sure the reason we call it a dragon is because we fear it. And sometimes when we want to make corruption to look extremely ugly, you say it's a mongrel, that ugly dog, which nobody wants to face. Without that, Parliament has a role to play, especially when it comes to combating corruption. And the mandate of Parliament is drawn from Article 95 of the Constitution, and especially in respect of the second house, because there are two houses of Parliament, the National Assembly and the Senate, and I can never tell which one comes first, but from the Constitution is the National Assembly that comes first, followed by the Senate. So the role of the National Assembly is representation. That is why we have to go through elections, which are coming next year. And as again the chairman has said, it looks the country is live. It's like we are doing those elections tomorrow, but we still have more than 1 year to go. So we will do elections and we will have representatives elected because we all cannot go to Parliament. We have also to do legislation, which is to make the laws for the country. It includes all laws, including regulations. Every piece of law that has force in the country, legal force, must go through Parliament, both substantive and subsidiary. That's where you were told I sat in the Committee on Delegated Legislation in the 12th Parliament, where we were making regulations for the country, which is subsidiary legislation. We also have to do appropriation, which is what I'll be doing this afternoon, to try and distribute the little resources that are available to the various government agencies. And for me, it is going to be the governance, justice, and law sector. And the majority of those agencies are here. And finally, we have to do oversight, which is to ensure that we take care of the way the agencies exercise their constitutional and legal mandate, and also how they spend the scarce government resources, or public resources, not government, scarce public resources that are available, and to the benefit of the citizens. Everything we do is to the interest of the people of Kenya. We hold them in priority, and that is why we have to hold you to account. And the people of Kenya have also to hold us to account as members of parliament, because that is why we have to do regular elections, in which possibly 70% of us are ordinarily shown the door, because you may not have done your work properly. Now, parliamentary oversight is a fundamental pillar of the administration of justice in the criminal justice sector, and is exercised in the following ways. As far as Parliament is concerned, this is what we do. Number one, we oversight the budgets and the expenditure of the agencies in the criminal justice sector. And we have named all of them. They include the judiciary, represented by the Chief Justice through the Honorable Justice Mwaniki Gashoka. The ODPP, which is supposed to be represented here by, I think I saw Joseph. Good. ESCC itself, ORPP, CAJ, Witness Protection, Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, the Office of the Honorable Attorney General, State Department of Justice, etc. All these are in that sector. We have to oversight the budgets that are given to them, so that we see how you utilize the funds, is it for the good of the people, and whether there is any elements of criminality in what is done. Additional financing oversight is another role we play. And here what we do is you move away from justice and legal affairs, which appropriates, to some committees which are reserved for minority. Their work is to ensure that accounts are given, and especially to scrutinize what the Auditor General does. So those committees include the Public Accounts Committee, the Public Investments Committee, etc. And they deal with those reports. That's why you hear it doesn't sound very exciting to appear before those committees, because some of these Auditor General's reports have queries, and those queries may not be very pleasant. The third thing we do is conducting approval hearings and vetting of nominees for appointment as leaders of the agencies. Some of the big men seated here, we actually conducted vetting for them, including the chairperson. Not a very pleasant experience. But we were a little bit soft on him because he's a good man. So I don't know how he took it. The CEO took it before us, and we had to take you through the exercise. The DPP, the Chief Justice, every one of them, it's part of the checks and balances system, so that the three arms of government can actually check one another. So the idea is to ensure that you get the best of the best. And I hope we were right, because so far so good. If we weren't, it wouldn't have taken this long. We would have known about it, and we say, so far so good. You are doing a good job at ESCC and the other agencies, and we encourage you to continue doing that good work. Then we have to do the oversight of performance of the agencies in the criminal justice sector. Again, we are mandated to do this by our standing orders, and this is where we have to assess from time to time. We usually meet these agencies to see what they have done in 1 quarter, half a year, and annual. So it is in regard to your mandate as an agency. It's also in regard to the funds that are appropriated to you on what you have exactly done. Again, that's one way of conducting our foundational pillar on administration of justice in oversight. The fifth one is committee inquiries. Again, the ones we were talking about, which are not very popular, but constantly we have to invite you. You have to come before us, and as Parliament, you have to answer those questions. And once you answer the questions to our satisfaction, you are fine. If you do not, to our satisfaction, sanction is meted out, and the sanction must be carried out. While we are doing this, we take the position of a quasi-judicial organ. We are not a judicial organ per se as Parliament, but we transform ourselves into some form of a high court where we have to make inquiries and then make recommendations. Then the last one is legislative intervention. And this is where you come in, you see the loopholes in what you execute as agencies, and you make recommendations. Our work is to legislate, put into place the laws that would help you execute your mandate. It's good I said one we did recently. It's called the Anti-Money Laundering and Combating of Terrorism Financing Laws. It was an amendment bill, but it's an act of Parliament, 2025. We are trying to strengthen the anti-money laundering laws to ensure that we do not have money coming into the country, proliferating into the country, and this money cannot be explained. Where this happens, EACC is up to try and ensure a solution is found. I know there are conflicts because the DCI too would start doing investigations away from this. You may find the asset recovering agents also trying to do something regarding money laundering. But all in all is to try and ensure that our country is clean and we are not grey-listed, as you are told. We also passed what is known as the Conflict of Interest Law. It's an act of Parliament now. Another very important act on corruption. Because corruption would start with the conflict of interest. I have an interest in the matter. It's a lucrative matter. I don't declare it. I don't recuse myself. And in the process, the country suffers loss. This is why that very strict law, which the drafters, we never knew who they were. But it came to us as a bill. And we tried to make it softer. I can assure you, everything we proposed was rejected by the president. And he has power to do that. Again, the checks and balances, where the executive now becomes a legislator. So it was rejected, and we were told if you want to overturn the presidential rejection, you have to raise 2/3 of your numbers against. In that house, it is just impossible. You cannot raise the 2/3. So we couldn't raise the 2/3, and it passed as it was. It's a very stringent law. If it is enforced to the letter, then we would really have to fight 50% of the issues of corruption that we have today. Then from there is what will be the viable interventions to strengthen the fight against corruption. Because this is where you now call upon Parliament to stand up and be counted amongst all these other institutions. It's not just to complain, but we must also help the judiciary try and remove the backlog on cases of corruption, delays in case management, etc. We must assist the DPP to ensure that he has enough state counsel to prosecute these cases. We must assist the EACC, ensuring that it has enough investigators to investigate thoroughly, pass over the matters to DPP, and the matters are prosecuted. We know there may be issues in between, because first and foremost, why do we have to have everybody doing something independent of the other? Purely human rights, that was the argument in 2010, that the investigator should not prosecute. The investigator must do a thorough job in ensuring that the person to be brought to book will actually be brought to book. So the investigator does investigations, the prosecutor looks at it and says, yes, I'm convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that you've made out a case, and I'll prosecute this person. That way it becomes easier for the judiciary to now convict that person. There have been arguments on how this can be modified, but that I'll make a recommendation to you to think about. But what do? We empower the relevant criminal justice sector agencies to act on the recommendations in the reports of the National Assembly. So whenever we do oversight, we make recommendations, and those recommendations are taken to the agencies. So yours would be to carry out those recommendations. Then the other thing we can do is to try and protect the whistleblowers and witnesses. Remember, as we said, corruption is a dragon. It's too huge. It has the power, it has the energy and the ability to corrupt itself and its way around. So if you don't protect whistleblowers, the persons who come to us and reveal what is happening, or the witnesses who will testify in court, then you cannot succeed in corruption cases. We have to ensure these people are immune to everything, just the way we should also ensure the prosecutors and the investigators from EACC and the judges and magistrates are also protected. Because in those failed states where corruption thrives, you find it is not very good to talk about. We had a witness protection bill which was brought to Parliament by a private member, Irene Muthoni Kasalu, and unfortunately it didn't go through the session, it lapsed. We have to renew it. The Attorney General was also supposed to bring another one to marry with that one, but we are yet to see it. But these are the important legislative actions which we are recommending and which must actually be undertaken to ensure we move on. Digitization and open contracting. This is the e-procurement which the government introduced. There was resistance from everybody. Members of Parliament were actually the leaders in this because of small things we do in the constituencies, or which are done in the constituencies. We are not the ones who do them. They are so tiny that you cannot subject them to such a grandiose process. And to flex our muscle, we actually annulled that circular which had introduced e-procurement. Eventually it was agreed. While that is going on, we can modify it and execute it. We think it's a very, very good process where we go to open tendering and try it, open contracting, and try to protect what we do hand to hand. But the CDF things that happen down there are so small that we feel sometimes they bog down development through bureaucracy. But we are working on it. We are part and parcel of everything that is happening, and we must also embrace the e-procurement. Enhanced interagency collaboration, we've talked about this. It is vitally important that, especially the three agencies that deal with corruption, the EACC, the DCI, and the ODPP, there must be absolute enhanced collaboration between these three agencies to ensure that the work that is done is seamless, it's flawless. It is work that will go to the judiciary when it is ready, it is ripe, and the judiciary will actually come to no other decision than to convict. We know there have been issues. And in fact, I was discussing with my friends from ESCC that sometimes it may be worthwhile giving them prosecutorial powers so that when they investigate, they also prosecute, as happens in some countries. The reason given is that every information, every analysis cannot be on paper. Sometimes it is internalized in the prosecutor's mind. So when he goes to court, he is able to say a lot more than what is on paper. As I discussed this with them, I had to draw their attention to the constitutional provisions regarding the establishment, the mandate of the office of the DPP, which is an independent office. So we may have issues with this, but it is not lost on that. What happens in other jurisdictions? I think ESCC, you need to look at it this way, so that as we go along, if it is something that can be done, then we can consider it along the lines of what happens in other jurisdictions. Would we need a constitutional amendment or an amendment to the acts? The two acts would be sufficient to cover prosecution that way. There was also mooted that the ODPP should be accommodating so that we have divisions into which he can take counsel from ESCC as prosecutors to be prosecuting corruption cases. That again sounds meritorious, and we may be able to circumvent the constitutional provisions by possibly having a division in ODPP which deals with corruption cases, and it has a specialized counsel who are able to prosecute successfully these corruption cases. So as we conclude, Parliament's oversight role is not policing. We are not policemen. Remember, the three arms of government are interdependent. We are not independent per se. We must work with one another. We must support one another. It's not a question of we are independent, therefore we don't take anything from anyone else. It is, we must work within a system which is conjoined. So, as we do this, then it is for you agencies to sit down and propose what you consider to be the best law. Bills, proposals to acts of parliament, constitutional amendments are extremely difficult. The only one that went through the National Assembly was to entrench the CDF in the Constitution. It went through with an overwhelming majority, and you know the reasons. You try anything else, you never get 2/3 majority. That we have tried on gender rule, on many, we cannot just get that majority. But there may be a way of going around it through acts of parliament, which require simple majority, or through regulations that just require a committee to pass, and we achieve what we think is the best law to combat corruption in the country. Those very many remarks allow me to stop there. And this is a session. If there are any questions, I will take 2 or 3. And then after that, kindly allow me so that I'm able to do the other things in the afternoon and join the other team in Malindi as we continue the public participation. Thank you so much. Thank you, absolutely. Thank you.